There's a world that's hidden. There's a world that's unseen. There's a one I imagine, and that's a whole another thing. There's a noise I can tune out.
So I've been moving them in the afternoon for a couple specific reasons. One, the grass, in the afternoon the sugars rush up to the grass, and the later I move them, I know a lot of you have been saying this, the better it is for them. In spring and summer it's easier for me to move them in the morning just because it flows with my routine. But now that we're getting into fall, winter time, there's a couple things. Because it's getting colder, the way that cows really stay warm is they ruminate, you know, they ferment the grass, and that actually helps them heat up. So moving them in the afternoon, what it does is it gives them a full belly. Right now they're gonna go to town on this grass here, so they'll be able to handle the cooler temperatures much better. Now, is it gonna get that cold tonight? No, it's probably gonna be in the 50s, which is not bad at all. But it's just a good habit that I'm gonna get into for the fall and winter time. So in the afternoon, this is when we're gonna feed them, just exactly when we feed hay too. We're gonna feed the hay in the afternoon so they can, you know, go through the night with a full belly, rather than, you know, being maybe hungry in the morning. I'd rather them be hungry in the mid-afternoon and then gorge themselves and heat up and keep warmer. But now that brings me to my next point and what we're gonna do and what experiment that we're gonna try. I mentioned this in the previous video a little bit, just give it a little bit of a taste, but come with me, I'm gonna show you once we finish watering the cows. Here it is. This is Pennington Seeds Pasture Fescue non-toxic endophyte fescue. So it's a novel endophyte that's in here. So it has the endophyte which the Kentucky 32 doesn't have, but it's non-toxic like the Kentucky 31 is. So this is made for, you know, Texoma, so Texas, Oklahoma. And down here, this should work. In theory, this works. In reality, I don't know. But if we can get them grazing, we're gonna do this on a two and a quarter acre little field. If we can get them grazing this in wintertime, it can save us a lot in hay. You know, if this works, we can seed, you know, the majority of our farm in this, the one that, you know, the parts that aren't, you know, in like a, you know, real damp, real moist where it kind of floods. This could work. This could be a game changer for winter grazing, to where the Bermuda just goes completely dormant. We can get some productivity out of it. Here's the field where I'm gonna put it. This is one of our best fields, but the grass is gone. The grass is completely gone now. We had the cows move through here. They ate all the you know, Bermuda grass. We had a little bit of eastern gamma grass out over that way, which is cool. They ate it all, and we had nothing but weeds left here. So I clipped it, and now that we've had our first frost, the Bermuda and everything else should go kind of dormant here, because we just don't have any cool season grasses. The ryegrass barely grows up at all, and there's basically nothing else. So with this down, with it, you know, should be dormant. We have about a week and a half, 2 week window here to where the temperatures are going to be a little bit up, especially in the daytime. It's like 75 degrees right now. So I'm going to seed it out, but we're racing the sun. So I'm going to seed this out pretty quickly. I'm just going to go with my little hand seeder, and we can talk more after I do that, which should take me maybe an hour or two. It's the next day, and what I've done so far is I've gone through and I did just a light seeding, 2 passes around, and I still have, look. I still have a whole 5-gallon bucket worth of seed. So now what I'm doing, it took me forever to do it because I just wanted to get like a really even kind of light pass. So I did that twice, going back and forth, and then sideways. So kind of crisscross your checkerboard pattern. If I missed any, I don't think I did. But it took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. But now I'm just kind of opening it up, and I'm going, you know, around certain areas that are a little bit more problem spots, and kind of overseeding that area a little bit, and just getting this out to see what happens. So let's go. Oh, and in this mix, I had some leftover clover seed from earlier this spring, so I just mixed it in there because, hey, why not? And that's it, okay? Bucket's empty, all the seeds out. So I put 25 pounds of the Pasture Fescue plus about, I don't know, maybe 10 to 12 pounds of the arrowleaf white clover. We have a lot of clover grown in this field, but it's red clover, or this, I think it's called scarlet clover, that only comes around just in the springtime. It's only around for maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and then it's gone. It just doesn't grow up. So hopefully we can add a little bit, not better clover, but just longer lasting clover out here, and see what this does. It's an experiment. I don't know what it's going to do. If it grows up, you know what? This could be a game changer for us, to where, we live in such a mild climate. We're in Northeast Texas, and we hardly ever freeze. Even in the wintertime, it doesn't get that cold. It's pretty mild. Why can't we grow cool season grasses here? Last year we didn't grow any. This year, you can see, look, I'll show you in the pasture. Like, we have a little bit growing. Like, you can see there's still green. There's still some. But there's nothing to graze out here. Look, granted I mowed it, and I only mowed the weeds off. The grass is already gone. The tips, it was just the tips that I took off of the weeds, to where you can still see like patches of the ragweed out there and everything. But why can't we grow cool season grasses in Northeast Texas? I don't see a reason why we shouldn't be able to. I really don't see a reason why we shouldn't be able to. This is a great climate, great, pretty good soils. We should be able to grow all year round. Maybe not for like February. If there's ever snow on the ground, it should go dormant. But you know what? We gotta try something. And I know I'm just throwing out the fescue and the clover right now, but hopefully what I'd like to do is I'd like to just be very specific on what I'm putting out. You can tell the difference between clover and fescue very easily. And see what sticks. And then, you know what? We'll try a little bit of other stuff too. I don't want to do any annuals. I just want it all to be perennial. That way I only have to do this once, because this sucks. But then maybe we can formulate our own mix that we can spread out around the farm, that makes it to where this farm is producing all year round. We don't have to feed hay, because I just don't like feeding hay. I don't think that we should have to feed hay here. I think that with the way that we graze, the way we mob graze, we should be able to do fine. So we're closing up this paddock here. It's 2 1/4 acres, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. That's kind of what I calculated out to be. And we're just gonna let it sit. We're gonna let it rest. We're gonna let it try and regrow. We're gonna try and sprout the seed and see what we can do, because I think we should be able to do just fine. And here's a graphic that I found on the internet about Bermuda grass and fescue. So the fescue is the blue one, cool season. Warm season is red, so that's Bermuda grass. And this is the way that the Bermuda grass grows. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4.5 months, it's really not doing anything. It's just dormant, completely dormant. So we have a growing season of between April and, we'll call it October, November-ish, okay? We just have nothing else growing in the rest of the time of the year, which is just wasted downtime. So my thinking is that if we can get the fescue to grow like it does here, this is the growth curve of fescue. It's active in January, it's active in February, it takes really off in March, and then it goes down here in July. But that's okay, because guess what's taken off? The Bermuda grass is. Okay? When the Bermuda grass goes dormant, this is on its way up. But comes the problem. It's this section right here. This is that weird little section that we have, that some people say this might not work. And that's because when the Bermuda grass is going dormant and the fescue is starting to take off, both of them need nutrients. They both need nutrients here. And some people say that they compete too much and it ends up weakening both of them. But here is my thing. With the hay shed that we think that we might be able to build with the cows. I know you guys can love my drawings, okay? Okay. With the cows and the hay shed, and we have the wood chips here underneath them. And they're pooping out, their big old poops on the backside. This mixes together, this creates compost. Okay? In our fescue and Bermuda fields, what we can do is we can take this compost and throw it back out on there during this time of year. That way there's an abundance of nutrients in that area. The second thing that I think that we're going to be able to do, and that's why we can get away with this a little bit more, is because we have the multi-species grazing. Okay, well, multi-species farm in total. Right now we have our ducks and we have our geese. Next year we're going to probably be, it's almost a guarantee, we're going to be adding chickens as far as at least meat chickens, if not laying chickens, and turkeys. That way we can sell at Thanksgiving. Okay, between these 4 things that we got going on, okay, the ducks and geese can be in one fescue field, one fescue Bermuda grass field. The chickens and turkeys, if we end up seeing another one, they can be in that other one. We can run the chickens over those fields. That way, again, there's an abundance of nutrients to where, you know what, they might not compete. Or there might be this much nutrients instead of this much nutrients that they're competing for. We put it on that compost that hopefully we make. We're going to see about, this might not be a this winter thing. This might be a next winter thing. But this is a for sure next year thing that we can make sure are on those specific fields that we do this in and be able to make up for the nutrient loss. So I don't see, if you draw a line, okay, you draw a line. We're having a problem right around December and January, a little bit, to where things aren't growing up. But the rest of the year, things should be going up just fine. We almost get into a little bit of issue right here around May, June, but we're still above the line. And if we can stay above that line, we should be able to graze at least most of the year round. If this happens to where we need to, take them off in December and January, I think in December we should be able to have enough stockpile if this all works out. And then on January, we're only feeding hay 20 to 30 days. And we don't mind that because that is creating our compost to where we can put back on the fields. I don't know. It's an idea. I think it's going to work. I'm not 100% sure it's going to work. But, we got to be able to grow cool season grass this year. And I know people say, oh, buy annuals and stuff. But annuals doesn't make sense to it. I'd rather just feed hay. And then I just want to make a point, too, that this isn't the only grasses that we have. This is not the only grasses that we're focusing on. We want a whole cool season winter mix to where, hey, if the novel endophyte fescue really works, great, we'll go ahead and do more of that. But we'll mix in, some clover like we did, chicory like I know a few of you have mentioned about, it helps with the deworms, perennial ryegrass maybe, just a big bunch of stuff that we can just throw in there where we have a great diverse sward in our pastures throughout the whole time. I know I can't draw, but if hopefully this gets my point across to where you can see what I'm trying to do here and where we can graze, 330, if we can get to 330 days a year, I'll be happy there grazing. And that means 330 days a year in drought, 330 days a year in the best, mildest winter that we can have, or the most wet summer that we've had in forever. 330 days, that's the goal, because we can always use this. And even during that time, say we have a really good year, I might even just take them off of pasture so we can create this, and then we just let everything else rest and recover. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. By the way, this is a little bit of a setup, a kind of experimental setup that we're doing right now. We're kind of tweaking and refining it, and we're going to be kind of launching some new stuff here soon. And that's why we have a whiteboard up. So with that, hit that subscribe button down below, ring the notification bell so you get notified when we put up new videos. Hit the like button because it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. Drop a comment if you like. All right, until next time, see ya. Bye.